All right, today we got another spicy take from Jeff Booth. Remember, he is the one that coined the phrase, the natural state of the free market is deflation. And the more I listen to this guy, he just drops these in-depth gems that are like one-liners, and you have to really go back and listen to it. So the best analogy is, if you saw The Matrix, the first one, back in the late 90s, and then just getting unplugged from the system so you can actually see the system from outside the system. Like when you're plugged in, you cannot see the veil in front of you. And it's just so hard to understand the shitstorm that we've created with this monetary system, that I'm going to try to break it down for you with Jeff Booth and a clip, a funny parody clip with some aliens, and then a projection of where Bitcoin can go according to Jeff, like what the actual value of it is based off of the buying power that we have in the world. So stay tuned.
Bitcoin is booming. Are you cashing in or missing out? At Drip2BTC, we're rewriting the rules of Bitcoin investing. Earn up to 30% ROI on your deposits, unlock incredible Bitcoin discounts, and transform credit into up to 3,000% APR growth. No hassle, just real results. Don't wait, your future is one deposit away. Drip2BTC.com. Invest smart today.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for property where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Now, that initial analogy I was telling you about with the Matrix and being inside the system and not being able to know that you're within the confines and rules of this system reminds me of that David Foster Wallace commencement speech about the fish and water. I'm going to play that clip for you guys real quick because it's just a great 20-second summary that will bring in and tie together all these other points. I mentioned this before, way back on my channel, but let's just play this clip.
There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?"
The idea or analogy behind that is that sometimes the most obvious things in our life are the hardest to see. Like we live with these blinders on or in this reality, and it's our own reality, our own making in our own heads sometimes, that we forget that it's a construct, so to speak, or that there are other things that make this up. So like with the fish, it's like, they live in the water, but they don't have that concept of that water. It just becomes so normal to them that they don't question it. And that's where we're at with Jeff Booth's statement of the natural state of the free market is deflation. And that he mentioned in that previous podcast that inflation is the greatest lie ever told. We have lived in this state of inflation that we believe that it's the norm, that there's no other way out of it, that the markets that are being controlled are in our own benefit. Which brings me to this parody example. You may have seen this, but I think this is a great summary as well about our financial system.
Want to know what I found out the other day?
What did you find out the other day?
Did you know the entire Earth is $315 trillion in debt?
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Who do they owe money to?
Bro, who are they getting money from?
It blows my mind that first off, you have everything on the planet here to live for free.
You literally have everything you need.
And then you invent a system
Uh-huh.
that creates a deterioration of your own resources.
You created a store of value that's literally storing less and less value every day. Every day.
And you're increasing your technology, and yet somehow you still owe money to someone, and it's $315 trillion. There's not enough paper to print that much cash. What are they doing?
Dude, Earth is like the worst meme coin. It's the worst.
It got rugged.
Sorry, I think they did a great job on that, but it's a parody and it's, made in jest, but it is so true. When you actually, again, realize you're swimming in water, realize, take the blinders off, unplug from the matrix, whatever analogy you want to use, you understand about that monetary system that they're making fun of here, that it is all created, and again, shout out to Jeff Booth, for control. That's it. So it's not in the people's benefit, the general populace. It's just a handful of puppeteers that benefit from this system of control, create these illusions. And even again, what Jeff Booth mentioned is that it's gotten so entrenched that even the books and the things that you study about finance are actually created by the same people. And if you live in the US, you can understand that from the medical industry that we have, and how that got created, and literally outlawing certain forms of positive beneficial medicine and injecting all sorts of chemicals, things of that nature. Like, that's another rabbit hole to go down. But the point is that it's all about control. And when you can control the narrative and the information, after a while, people don't question anymore. It again becomes that fish in the water. It becomes the reality, and you accept it as the norm, until it takes, some pioneer, shout out to Satoshi, to create something that breaks or opens the veil or unplugs someone from the matrix where they can see the code. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, there is another option. I can opt out. So let's give a quick clip from Jeff Booth on his the value of Bitcoin, basically based off of just simple math.
All assets in the world currently equal about $900 trillion. Not 900 trillion of paper money, but purchasing power, and you divide it by 21 million. That number equals 43 million. So if you had a small percentage of a Bitcoin, that would be enough to live forever. And it's just, wait, what? Why? Because
So that's something I covered in a previous clip, basically about, how much Bitcoin to retire. But you definitely want to watch this entire episode from Simply Bitcoin, because Jeff goes through a lot of gems that he drops. But just by simple math, like he said, because there's $900 trillion of actual buying power or of assets in the world, then, and when you divide that by Bitcoin, 21 million cap, which we know is actually less than 21 million, because there are lost coins, there's Satoshi coins and things of that nature, you get a $43 million Bitcoin price tag. Like, that's just simple math. And then, like he's telling the host, it's like, yeah, if you own just a fraction, you can live off that forever, because the monetary financial fiat Ponzi system that these guys are talking about will continue to debase, while Bitcoin will continue to gain more and more buying power against that. And we'll play this last clip from this podcast episode, which kind of ties that all together as well.
in the world I describe on Bitcoin, prices fall by exactly the rate that those people go.
Wait, what? Why?
Because it's productivity. The productivity that we choose, the prices fall by that. They don't need the job anymore because prices keep falling and falling and falling.
Oh my God. Okay. See, it's another Jeff Booth mind-breaking moment.
The job that you think you need to pay for the artificial prices that are going up is only needed because of the artificial prices going up.
Yeah.
It's not needed. You live in abundance. You continually live. If prices kept falling, if prices fell by 5% a year, then 10% a year as a natural course, and then 15%.
Okay, but wait,
40%.
if people live,
Like, let that one sink in as well. And that, again, he just says this stuff and he just goes on to another topic, but that is a huge mind-blowing perspective. We only have a job and require raises and things of that nature because of the control system of prices going up, the built-in inflation, the debasement of our buying power. If we lived in a free market, again, the natural state of the free market is deflation. And technology, innovation, like again, the aliens are talking about, when we create things, it's to make things more efficient and cheaper. What you can zoom out and go back to kind of agriculture and look at originally, you had to go out, till the land by hand with a hoe by yourself. Then you hooked it to some cattle. Then we got into manufacturing and industrial age, and we use machines and all this stuff. That makes food cheaper, quicker, right? Not slower. So that means the price of food should come down. And that's seen with everything. You go back to, looking at everybody probably watching this has a cell phone. The amount of power in that cell phone is like, I don't know, I forgot what the analogy is, but so many times more powerful than what they used to launch the first rockets into space from NASA. Like, again, technology is getting faster, smaller, cheaper, all this stuff. So that means prices should be falling, but they do not because it's controlled and the system is rigged. So what he's saying is that you wouldn't actually need to, quote unquote, work as much or even at all as the system moves forward and is on a Bitcoin standard, because the value that you've accrued in Bitcoin will continue to appreciate against the depreciation of assets and products and services due to innovation and technology and advancements.
In abundance, what incentive would you have to build things, for example?
So there's always going to be things to solve.
Okay.
Always. In the free market, you get paid more than somebody else for creating value. How do you get paid? You get paid by creating value for somebody else.
Yeah.
The more people you create value for, the more you get paid. And then what happens? Somebody sees the value you're making, and they compete with you, and they remove your value, and you have to compete harder and harder to provide more value. And the output of that is all prices continue to fall. You win, they win, everyone wins. Because even if you weren't part of that equation, those people competing create value for you when prices are allowed to be in the free market. The only way you lose from that equation is if you live in a centralized market. The prices are artificially made to rise.
I see what you're saying.
Right? So then you'd lose your job. All prices are higher.
And you wouldn't be
and you don't know what to do.
And you wouldn't be
so
able
you
to
turn to the government who's creating the problem and you say, save me.
Save me.
And they create a new program to save you. That where does money come from? From you.
Yeah.
In this world, you just get better and better and better. It is a perfect expression of humankind trading with each other in service of humankind.
That is.
And Bitcoin is imposing that discipline. If you own part of Bitcoin, you are already part of that system.
That is
mind-blowing. So if you don't own Bitcoin or you're still getting orange pilled, again, I urge you to watch this entire episode on Simply Bitcoin and just start stacking sats, because this is the solution. This is the future. Again, for a lot of the younger generation in the US, there will most likely not be any form of Social Security, 401k, retirement in the traditional sense, like maybe if it's on a Bitcoin standard, but there's just so much debt and debasement that even if it's there, it's just not going to be enough for you to retire off of. You will have to be storing your economic energy and wealth in a asset that is appreciating faster than the debasement of your fiat system that your current economic energy is being tied to. So the more that you can get out of that and into Bitcoin, then the better off you're going to be in the future. Like you said, even if you didn't have to work, we're going to still have problems to solve and be competing against one another. And by competing to solve problems, to add value, well, that's going to automatically drive prices down cheaper and cheaper. And it's so simple to say, but it's so hard to understand, because we've been in this system. Again, we've been in this water that we don't recognize for so long. All the books, all the knowledge, everything that we've built our framework of mindset and beliefs around is on a system of lies. That's why, again, the Matrix is just the best analogy, because once you understand that the rules within that system can be bent and or you can unplug and do your own thing, then you realize that you are outside the system. And that's what Jeff Booth's always saying, that Bitcoin is outside the system. You cannot solve a problem from within the system that the problem was created. It's like a bug in the code of the software, and then you're trying to use that bug to remove other bugs, so to speak. Like, you have to actually get outside the system, build a new system, because that system is corrupt and contaminated. There's no quarantining it or running some spyware and removing it. It's just corrupt. You have to actually get out of it and step into a new system that is not corrupted. So I hope that made sense. Again, a lot of value in this clip over on Simply Bitcoin with Jeff Booth, way more than I've even gone into and elaborated on. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And at a minimum, stay humble, stack sats, get unplugged from the matrix, and lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.